To create a print file, start with the template used to make the die. Hide the different layers until only the die-cut shapes are shown. In a new layer, add your artwork. For overbleed, the artwork will be slightly larger than the cut shape. In this example, the cut shape is 3 inches wide by 4 inches high. The artwork file is 3.08 inches wide by 4.08 inches high. When working in millimeters, a 2 mm overbleed is recommended. Select all of the artwork images. Under the Object menu, select Artboards and then Fit to selected art. Select Artboard and change the width to the width of the material you are using. In this case, it is 8.5 inches or 215.9 millimeters. Next, add the registration black mark. This needs to be 4 millimeters high and have a minimum width of 4 millimeters. It can be wider, depending on the artwork layout. The location of the black mark is critical. It needs to be 140 millimeters from the top of the printed image to the bottom of the black mark. Keep in mind that this distance is as the material moves through the press. When printing offline, the material will go onto a rewinder. When the material is loaded onto the press, it is being unwound in the opposite direction. The black mark must be located 140 millimeters from the top of the printed page and on the non-operator's side of the press. In this example, the material is printed on an Afinia L901 going onto the rewinder. When the material is moved to the press, the top of the label is on this end. The black mark will be 140 millimeters from the top of the page and on the non-operator's side of the press. Finally, save the file under a new name. This is the file that will be sent to the printer. It is important that when saving the file, only the print and black mark layers are visible. To ensure a proper cut in between each printed page, the gap value used by the printer needs to be calculated. For one example, let's assume the gap is 0.25 inches. If we use the print file from earlier in this video, the overbleed is 0.08 inches. Subtract the overbleed value from the gap value. That gives us 0.17 inches. This is the gap value that is set in the printer. For another example, let's assume the gap between cavities is 6 millimeters and the overbleed in the artwork is 2 millimeters. Subtract the overbleed value from the gap value. That gives us 4 millimeters. This is the gap value set in the printer. To set the gap value in the printer, go to Devices and Printers and select Printing Preferences for the L901 printer. Select the Media tab and enter the gap value in Interpage Gap. 0.17 inches is the value we calculated in our earlier example. Here, millimeters is selected. In our earlier example, 4 millimeters was calculated for the gap size needed.